I am me from the top of my head to the tip of my toes. What a wonderfully simple but deeply profound statement, right? It's the kind of sentence that just immediately grounds you in the physical world. Have you ever actually stopped to think about how we build our understanding of a totally new language from absolute scratch?
Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking on a really fascinating mission. We've taken a massive 3-hour beginner English text and distilled it down to reveal exactly how it constructs an entire world, literally from the ground up. This isn't just about, memorizing lists of vocabulary. It's about how language materials meticulously build a universe for a new learner, step by step, starting from the very concept of self and expanding all the way outward. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The self and the home, 2. Community, school, and work, 3. The vast natural world, and 4. Culture, concepts, and time. Section 1. The self and the home, the micro level. It makes perfect sense, right? The very first logical step in picking up a language is the most immediate, describing exactly who we are and our immediate physical surroundings. The source text systematically maps out the human body, basically giving learners the exact geographic coordinates of their own physical being. We're talking from the hair on the top of the head, down through the neck, the waist, and the hips. And what I absolutely love here is the delightful, specific precision it uses. It explicitly reminds the reader that they have exactly 10 fingers and 10 fingernails, 10 toes and 10 toenails. It's literally an inventory of the self. Now, once you know your body, you kind of need to know where to put it. The source material brilliantly compartmentalizes the home into distinct functional zones. It breaks the house down so logically. You've got the kitchen for the stove, refrigerator, and sink, the living room for the couch, television, and coffee table, the bathroom for the bathtub, toilet, and towels, and the bedroom for the bed, dresser, and closet. It teaches vocabulary by naturally associating words with their physical location and daily utility. And within that physical space, there's a rhythm. By synthesizing the daily schedule and school stories from the text, we get a super clean timeline of everyday life. Waking up and taking a shower at 7 a.m., the school bell ringing at 8:45, recess and play at 10:15, school ending at 3:30, and finally getting into bed at 9 p.m. So language is taught right through the predictable everyday pulse of a normal day. Moving on to Section 2, Community, School, and Work. So once a learner has mastered the self and the home, the camera pulls back. We zoom out from the house and step into the neighborhood to explore the roles and systems that actually build a society. The text introduces dozens of professions, giving us a snapshot of an entire working economy. We have doctors curing people and prescribing medicine, firefighters putting out fires and saving lives, principals managing schools, and paperboys delivering the local newspaper. But it doesn't just list these out. It tells stories. It shares this wonderful anecdote about a quote-unquote smart paperboy who noticed an elderly man hadn't picked up his mail. The boy called the police, and they discovered the man had fallen and broken his hip. Through a simple vocabulary lesson, it's quietly teaching the value of community awareness and looking out for your neighbors. It's just brilliant.
Now, of course, to get to all these jobs, you're going to need transportation. The text covers everything from moving your own feet to walking or riding a bicycle to driving cars, vans, and big trucks. It scales all the way up to trains on tracks and huge ships crossing the ocean. It even includes this surprising, really enthusiastic detail about taking a helicopter ride and going straight up into the air, blades whirling. It completely captures the sheer excitement of movement. And let's see how this concept scales, specifically with education. The text systematically walks the learner through the entire progression of schooling. We start at elementary school with young children, playgrounds, and the principal's office. Then we graduate to high school with teenagers changing classrooms and playing on football fields. And eventually, we arrive at university, filled with older students, large campuses, and dormitories. It gives the learner a complete step-by-step map of intellectual growth. Section 3. The vast natural world. Having built human society, the text takes us completely outside of it. We transition away from the human-made community into the broader natural environment, which is honestly a massive recurring theme throughout all the source material. The vocabulary here draws a pretty strict line between the wild and the domestic. On one hand, we have wild animals. We've got the mighty lion, directly referred to as the king of beasts, alongside bears, monkeys, giraffes, and elephants. But on the other hand, we have our domestic pets, dogs, birds, fish, guinea pigs, and a specific, lovable house cat named Milo who loves to hunt for mice. Nature also provides this wonderful structural rhythm to the text through the four seasons. We move from winter's cold, snow, and ice rinks into spring's rain, fresh buds, and warmer weather. Then comes summer with its hot days, swimming, and vacations, followed finally by autumn, where the leaves transform into brilliant shades of gold, orange, and red. This seasonal cycle just repeats, totally reinforcing the vocabulary of weather and time.
And within those seasons, the text literally paints with flowers. It uses all this diverse flora to teach colors and characteristics. We get red, pink, yellow, and white roses, tulips blooming in spring, sunflowers growing very tall, and fall chrysanthemums. We even get the really charming detail that forget-me-nots are tiny and blue. It's a highly visual, sensory way to encode adjectives into a beginner's memory.
Nature used all these colors to make the beautiful earth. I want to pause on this exact quote, directly from the text. I bring this up to point out that this is not some sterile textbook. It harbors a deep, underlying, almost poetic appreciation for the beauty of the natural world, seamlessly weaving that appreciation right into the task of learning English. Section 4, Culture, Concepts, and Time. This is the macro level. Finally, the source material graduates from the physical things you can actually touch to abstract thought, cultural norms, and the passage of time itself. And this brilliantly illustrates how language bridges the physical and the abstract. The text teaches opposites by placing basic physical differences, like black versus white, big versus small, young versus old, right alongside profound abstract and moral contrasts, like happy versus sad or truth versus a lie. It's showing the learner that words hold the power to describe both the visible world and the completely invisible landscape of human emotion and morality. Speaking of morality, the text explicitly teaches the concept that honesty is the best policy, and it does this through a highly relatable anecdote. The narrator is bouncing a ball in the kitchen, breaks their mother's favorite cup, and lies about it. The ensuing guilt and the siblings getting punished eventually lead to a confession. The mother explains that it's better to tell the truth because lying hurts people and breaks trust. Through this, we see exactly how language materials inherently transmit cultural values. The text also tackles the grand concept of time, breaking it down into manageable, literal units. We go from seconds to minutes to hours, days, weeks, and months. And to make this vast concept relatable, the text tosses in a very funny universal observation. If you ask a 3-year-old how old they are, they won't just say 3. They are so desperate to appear older that they will confidently claim to be 3.5. As we near the end of the text's journey, it takes a wonderfully meta-educational turn. It defines the who, what, where, and why. It explains that these are incredibly important words that begin questions and give you the exact information needed to write a good story. It empowers the reader to not just consume the language, but to actually create with it. Which brings us to our final thought. We've journeyed from 10 tiny toes through kitchens and neighborhoods, across the seasons of nature, and all the way into the realms of honesty and time. We've explored the fundamental building blocks of life as presented by this text. The vocabulary has been laid out. The tools have been completely handed over. So the only question left for you is, what are you going to build with them?